Hello, this is Miss Howington here at Research Triangle High School. Today we are going to be talking about the intertidal zone, and specifically we're going to be talking about the species interactions that help determine the lower limits of zones in the zones that are created from different abiotic factors and then biotic factors interacting as well. So a lot of times zones in marine systems the upper limits are determined by the tolerance to a stress that any given organism can handle. So those stresses might be exposure or submersion, tolerance, or maybe tolerance to higher temperatures or to deal with a range of temperatures. And then the lower limits of a zone are more likely determined by biotic factors like competition and predation. So predation is pretty straightforward. It's when another animal hunts and eats an animal for food, and that competition is when two individuals struggle to obtain a shared resource, a shared limiting resource. So it might be space, it might be food, it might be mates, who knows. And there's two different types of competition. So interspecific competition is when members of two different species compete with each other. So an example of this might be two different species of barnacles competing for space, or two different species competing for the same food source. And then the other type of competition is intraspecific competition. So this is when individuals of the same species compete. So when we watched Blue Planet, we saw two male elephant seals fighting to get mates. So they are members of the same species, and so this is intraspecific competition. So another concept with species interactions that we're going to discuss in the intertidal zone is the idea of keystone predators. So the concept of keystone predators was first proposed from a study done on ochre sea stars in the Pacific Northwest. So keystone species are those that have a disproportional impact on their environment for their population size and their body size. So a long time ago, or well, even now, whenever people used to build things out of stones, you would have the keystone at the very top of an arch, and that one stone is very instrumental in holding up that arch and then holding up everything above that arch as well. So if you remove that one stone, then the entire building or a significant portion of a building would be likely to collapse. And in intertidal zones, or the intertidal zone, when we're talking about zone determination, keystone predators are one of the things that would determine the lower limits of a zone. So keystone predators are clearly predators, so animals that are hunting and eating other animals, and also that are kind of shaping their ecosystem. One organism that's a keystone species in one ecosystem might not be a keystone species in another ecosystem. So ochre sea stars are only considered keystone species in the U.S. Pacific Northwest. They do not have as big of a structuring role in their ecosystem in other environments or other locations. The Morula whelk is another example. It's only considered a keystone species on some beaches in New South Wales, Australia, but not all of them. We will discuss these things in class a little bit further.